Now, I previously did a video about how to survive on maternity leave, and this has lots of great tips and tricks for increasing your income and managing the costs around having a child. But I thought it was worth doing a specific video on some strategies to help you get through at this particularly tough financial time as we are battling this cost of living crisis. So the first thing I want to mention is you really need to get to know the numbers. You need to know what money you have coming in and what money you have going out. Now, it might be that you weren't necessarily in a position where you needed to pay attention to this. Maybe you have a reasonably well-paying job and, there wasn't a cost of living crisis before, with money looking like it's going to go down because of maternity leave, and with the rising costs, this is now the time you need to pay attention. It's also worth projecting what your income is going to be. This needs to be a conversation that you have with your employer about what your maternity pay will be. It could be that you're on a good maternity pay package. Alternatively, you could be in receipt of statutory maternity pay, which may or may not meet your needs. It's worth having these discussions if there is a partner involved as well. What's their income going to be? And how are you going to manage your finances around this? Look at your outgoings. The chances are that your outgoings are changing fairly quickly at the moment too. Like I mentioned, there's the energy price cap. That has increased. This is likely to change the amount that you pay on your energy bills. So it's worth taking the time now to really get to know what money you have coming in and what money you're going to have coming in, and putting some strategies in place for budgeting for this. This is the absolute very first step. We can't work with anything if we don't know exactly what money you're going to get. Like I say, speak to HR, speak to somebody at your employer, speak to your partner, speak to any other sources of income that you have coming in, and make sure you know what those figures are going to be. Number 2, apply for child benefit. Now, I have worked with several people as a coach, helping them with their finances, who have children, but yet they have not applied for child benefit. Now, there are some rules and regulations about who can receive this. The general rules are, if you have children, you can apply for child benefit. If you can, get this in as soon as you can, so you can start receiving that money straight away. It's not a huge amount of money, but it absolutely helps towards some of those costs of having children. It's a simple form and you can do it online. One thing that you may want to consider is who actually applies for this. If you are going to be the parent that is out of work raising the child, then it might be worth having the child benefit in your name, as this can count towards your state pension contributions. I have a video about this as well, so make sure you go and check that out to see what this means for your state pension and to make sure you have the right person receiving that child benefit payment. Number 3, have the child sleep in your room. Now, this is general safety advice anyway, and is meant to protect against various health factors. And speaking as someone who's had 2 kids, I can confirm I much prefer the walk from my bed to their cot if it's in the same room, rather than walking down a cold corridor. It's also going to have some benefits in terms of heating costs. If you have to heat your room and the child's room, that is going to get expensive, particularly as the price of energy is rising. Although you might consider them waking you up and then being restless and all of these sorts of things, if you have them in the same room, you will only need to heat that room overnight. This could save you a huge amount of money. More bodies is going to heat your room quicker as well, so there'll be some perks for you too. 4, buy secondhand. Now, I had this as one of my tips in the main Surviving Maternity Leave video, but this is more important now than ever. There are some things that you don't want to buy secondhand. So this is going to be things like car seats and cot mattresses. These things you're going to need to buy new because of safety. But there are lots of things that you can buy secondhand. Things like clothes, for example. You can pick up bundles of kids' clothes on Facebook for just a few pounds. Have a look on websites such as eBay and Vinted to get coats and bits and pieces like that. Think very carefully about the things that you need to buy. Most websites will give you a list of the things that they say you need for your children, but ultimately they need very little. Essentially, they need food, warmth, some clothes. That's about it. So if you focus on those things and not get caught up in all the other bits and pieces that you've read on some baby forum, then you should be good. And if you can pick up some of those things secondhand, then it's going to save you a huge amount of money. Now this could mean contacting friends and family who've already had kids, see if they've got any hand-me-downs. So even car seats, if you've got a family member that's used that car seat, it's still within its regulated time that it can be used, then by all means use that. The issue with buying second-hand car seats online from people you don't know is you don't know whether they've been in an accident. Do your research on this though. Make sure you know what you're getting into and you understand the safety around these particular items. Also consider just sharing things around. Kids grow so quickly. So if you're looking to have like a couple of kids, it could be that you borrow something from somebody else and then you lend it on to the next person. And you pass these things around within friendship circles and family groups. 5. So this one is more about what you can do to maximize the amount of leave that you get in that sort of maternity period, but also getting you the most amount of money. Make sure you use your holiday allowances. Now, your employer may allow you to take a huge chunk of annual leave both at the start and the end of your maternity leave. And if you use this carefully, you can extend your maternity leave while still receiving your full rate of pay. Now, obviously, this needs to be in discussion with your employer, but it's also worth considering having less annual leave in the build-up to your maternity leave period. There are lots of careful discussions that you need to have in order to maximize your maternity pay and ensure that you get the time off that you need with the money that you need to sustain your lifestyle. Following on from that, number 7 is speak to your employer. It could be that there are some other benefits or your maternity package is more extensive than you think. You need to have this conversation, see what really is the package, whether you qualify for it, and discuss whether you can get more leave, less leave, or maybe even a hybrid arrangement. If you have this conversation early on, you'll know when you maybe need to work extra overtime to increase your pay, whether there are any options for extending your maternity leave or coming back on some sort of phased return. If you have this conversation, you may become aware of other things that are offered by your employer that you weren't aware of. A grant or a one-off payment or additional support or crash facilities. All of these things you may not have been aware of unless you have that conversation. Number 8. Think about shared parental leave. Now this could work in your financial benefit. If you are maybe the higher earner, it could make more sense for you to go back to work sooner and for your partner to take time off. Or you can find some arrangement or some other split that makes this work financially for you. Let's say that your maternity package offers you 6 months full pay, and after that it goes down to statutory, which may not be enough for you, but it could be that your partner's employer also has a similar arrangement that allows them to take some time off too. Think carefully about how this works, and like I say, in that first point, make sure you understand the numbers. It can be useful to have multiple spreadsheets looking at all the different scenarios and working out what the best financial situation is for you, whilst not neglecting your well-being as well. You will need time to recover and you will need time to learn what it means to be a new parent. So make sure you factor that in too. The next thing to consider is there anything else you could be entitled to? This could be benefits or grants or just general support for you and your household. One good example of this is the Sure Start maternity grant, which is available to first-time mums and those who already have children but are having multiple births if you or your partner are on certain benefits. So it's worth looking into this. There are different rules, but there could be £500 to £1,000 available depending on your situation. And this could help you buy certain things. There are also food vouchers available to help you if you are struggling to cover these costs too. Do look out for these and do your research to see if this is something you could benefit from. You might also need to consider whether you would need universal credit. Think carefully about this. With rising costs, it may be that you qualify where you didn't qualify before, as these things are included too. And finally, if you need any support with this, Do not suffer in silence. Reach out to the likes of Citizens Advice, Step Change, and the National Deadline to get help around your finances. If you are in a position where you are struggling, there are people out there that can help you for free and deal with your personal situation. Make sure you seek expert advice and go check out my previous video all about how to survive on mat leave, as it's full of lots of information that can help. Don't forget to hit the like button and leave me a comment below. Do you think that you will be able to cope on your maternity leave at this time during the cost of living crisis? And what more needs to be done by both the government and your employers to help with this? I'll see you in the next video.